Hello, Anastasia.
Hi, Ioana.
Hello, everyone. Today we are together with Anastasia as a support telepath and me as an external hypnosis operator or hypnoperator to do the investigative cycle number 289, the protocol number 1. As you already know, the protocol, the investigations that we do are made in two parts. So we have the fixed part, which is composed of fixed questions that we receive as hypnoperators in multiple countries, in multiple languages, and we cannot modify or deepen the questions in the first part. This is what we'll do in the second part. We will get into it's called the explorative part. We will get more into detail about Anastasia's answers from the first part. Anastasia does not know today's subject, as always, because we do not want to contaminate the information. And if you want a personal session, if you want to contact me for anything, you can find my contact details in the description box below this video. You can also find the fixed part, the questions of the fixed part in the description box below this video. And if you want to sponsor us, if you want to be with us while we do these investigations, if you want to ask your own questions about the protocols, you can send an email to investigations with an S at karagerogrifasi.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Anastasia, you can get ready. You can get comfortable. On the count of 3, connect with the human brain field and observe the relationship between neural activity and the manifestation of consciousness. 1, 2, 3. What do you perceive or visualize?
I perceived the first image that I perceived was like a mirror that reflects the physical and the metaphysical. And I saw an image of something that looks like neurons.
Mhm.
But I can sense them as being like a plasma consistency. And I sense that on that characteristic, it really connects with the energetical space. It's something in the composition of the brain, and in the energy produced by it is very compatible, and it manifests very well in the how do I say it, in metaphysical space. It kind of creates a natural connection between them. Something unwritten, something untold, but it's always been there because it's in the nature, and it's made compatible also by that characteristic of it being like plasmatic consistency, something like that.
Very good. Where is the human consciousness located and how does it manifest?
I see it for each person individually. It's like an energy field around the person. And I see it around each person on Earth. But I see them like bubbles. And when these bubbles kind of create energies that are similar, they kind of give out frequencies that are similar, like ideas, actions, beliefs, something like that. By that resonance of frequencies, it creates a kind of a third party consciousness that is the common consciousness of people. So like by that resonance of beliefs, But yeah, for each one, they have their individual one. Mhm.
Yeah. Do you perceive anything else?
I perceive it like um, what's the word? A continuity
Yeah.
of a person. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm perceiving that it has even like a detectable DNA
Mm-hmm.
of that person, specific person, and it can be identified to which one it belongs.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Observe if there is a connection between the state of consciousness and the perception of reality.
Yes, because I can see from inside the bubble now,
Mm-hmm.
and it acts as a filter, as an ever-changing filter that's always changing, always transforming, adapting. And I could see it like a blur at first, and almost like an energetical puzzle. And once it evolves, when you start putting pieces together, it clears the view,
Mm-hmm.
and then you truly become aligned with your own energy, when the energy of you basically is this consciousness. It becomes clearer when you are really aligned with yourself, and that can be described as a more evolved consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's more evolved, I can see it being clear and having like a clear 2020 vision. And
Mm-hmm.
so your perspective is different. You see things different because you've been through more experiences. You can see things from an objective point of view rather than subjective. There's a lot of characteristics that change.
Good. Good. Is there an interaction between the brain's electromagnetic fields and the universal quantum field?
Yes, it's kind of what I saw in the beginning, the image of a mirror. It's like a mirrored image, um, because it's all part of one. Like mm, everything is together at the same time, and everything is one
Mm-hmm.
in the universe. It's made out of the same things. So yes, it is connected by those characteristics that they both have,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can individual consciousness exist independently of the physical body?
Can you repeat the question?
Can individual consciousness exist independently of the physical body, without a physical body?
Oh, without a physical body.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I perceive that, yes. It can. It's not defined by a body necessarily. It can take a lot of forms,
Mm-hmm.
even ones that we are not aware of. Um, but yes, it can, but it depends on its level of development,
Mm-hmm.
to which extent of forms it can go, or it could handle, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. What happens to consciousness at the moment of death?
Not deaf, for sure.
Okay.
Um, I don't see any big of a change. I can see it like another apple that's added to a basket. Um, it's like a small ball that became bigger. It expands.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it depending on the case. But in most cases, it's nothing really changes to the consciousness itself in the
Mm-hmm.
moment of death, because death is in the physical and the consciousness is in the energetical. It has always been there. It doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
It just gains.
Good. Now, some individuals with hydrocephaly and the significantly reduced or impaired cerebral cortex still exhibit normal or even above average intelligence. How do you perceive the consciousness of such individuals?
Mm. So the individuals that have an impaired physical.
Yeah, and hydrocephaly, when the brain is flooded with cephalorhynchian liquid from the brain. So the
Mm-hmm.
brain is smaller physically, but they still exhibit normal or even above average intelligence with these conditions. How do you perceive the
Yeah.
consciousness of such individuals?
Um, I perceive it very, first of all, evolved. It has been through multiple experiences.
Mm.
But uh, also, a characteristic that I can sense is there is um, very little attachment to the physical or to the physical definitions
Mhm.
of intelligence. And they just reached a point to which they're not defined by the physical definitions or characteristics or whatever, and they're very connected with themselves, so they don't they don't kind of co-create that that wall that kind of um, stops
Separation.
is yes that stops them from fully fully showing themselves fully. Oh, it's hard to explain. um, Basically they are not co-creating problems with themselves
Mhm.
for themselves by having these physical conditions,
Mhm.
so they are not influenced by words or by these labels. They're enough connected with themselves to reflect that connection in the physical, and regardless of the physical impairness, to still manifest that, if it makes sense.
Mhm. Of course. Of course. Do you perceive anything else about their consciousness?
And for now, no.
Okay, good. And the last question of the fixed part, Anastasia. What does the consciousness in individuals in a vegetative state look like?
Hmm, I see it like having kind of an experience of its own. Um,
Mhm.
It's like creating projections and living kind of a different life on an energetical level than the one in the physical.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a dissociation. Um, but it's also a stagnation. So they're not truly experiencing things in those moments in that life. So it's really like a flat line, you know.
Mm-hmm. We'll move to the free exploration part, but stay here and observe more. How is is the consciousness of a person in a vegetative state living a different life? What is it doing?
I can perceive it like as a dream, but a dream that you see with your eyes open. So like a lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like a state that is caused by certain frequencies that are created by the physical body and by the brain. Um, and at some point, when there's not that much activity
Mm-hmm.
in the brain, it kind of goes into auto control,
Yeah.
something like that. And it switches
You're talking about the physical body or the consciousness?
the consciousness.
Okay.
But it's like a temporary thing. And it's not really like something changes to it.
Mhm.
It just in this passive kind of state, it kind of creates an environment of travel for itself, of experience, even though the physical body cannot do it.
So, for a person in a vegetative state, it's possible that the consciousness is, um, do you perceive that it's still linked to the physical body?
With a very thin string,
Mhm.
but it's still connected.
Why isn't why is the consciousness staying next, let's say next to this physical body and not leaving to really create and expand in other experiences?
Hmm. In certain ways, it's the attachment. It depends on the life that the person has lived
Yeah.
before, or the experiences they've had in other lives that created certain behaviors. So in the case that the consciousness doesn't leave, is there is an attachment to the life, an attachment to the life that's been lived before,
Mhm.
and really just any characteristic of the material world.
Do you perceive that, let's say, energies from other beings, physical beings of this consciousness, can influence its departure?
Yes,
Okay, what
yes.
exactly? What do you perceive?
Um, I perceive that the most influence is in the hands of the people that that person has the attachment to.
Mhm.
So words have very powerful
Meaning.
frequencies and
Mhm.
meanings, and they're very easily transmitted to the consciousness, and they're felt even without saying words, even thinking of them, even like just passing on this energy
Yeah.
and the intention. It can be felt. And that for sure can rip off those attachments because it creates kind of a different perspective for the consciousness.
Mm-hmm. The example that you have now with this consciousness, for how long has the physical body been in the vegetative state?
5 years.
5 years, yes. Okay. And now is it a boy or a girl?
It's a man.
It's a man. Okay. And do you perceive what his condition is? How do you perceive his physical body? Is there any organ that works by itself or not?
I can feel the heart.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Still.
How do you perceive the physical brain of the person?
Not receptive, not active.
Mm-hmm.
I can see some activity that the kind of the medical field can't really recognize.
Mm-hmm.
I see some, but it's not enough for kind of a physical life.
Okay. Now let's move through time and advance time until the physical body dies. What's happening? Describe me what's happening on a metaphysical level, on an energetic level.
Mm. I can perceive that attachment is getting thicker than before.
Mm-hmm.
That string that keeps the consciousness there,
Yes.
and it's getting bigger and bigger because of grief, because of the realization of what's really happening, because of the grief of the family. And I see the consciousness having a very hard time.
Letting go.
Yes.
Okay. And what's happening with the consciousness? What does it do?
It stays there for quite a time, quite some time.
Where?
It stays right above the body. I can see
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay, for how
Mm.
long?
For like 3 months.
Okay. And then?
Mm. I it kind of it departs a little, but I don't see it leaving. I can still feel that attachment. But now that attachment has transferred to the family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, for how long does it take for this consciousness to completely leave this experience and Earth in total, completely disconnecting from this body, from the family, from the attachments, everything?
5 years.
Okay. You perceived earlier that after the physical body dies, there's not a big change, and you said another apple added to a basket.
Mm-hmm.
Give me more details about this. How do you perceive this? What does it mean?
I perceive it as an expansion of the consciousness, and depending, of course, on the experience that the person had. But a consciousness can't shrink. It, I can see it only being able to expand or just remain stagnant in its current state.
Very interesting.
So, at the moment of death, depending on the experience that the person had, it can either expand more or it can just remain the same.
It can't downgrade.
Yeah, I can't
Okay.
see a downgrade. You can't
Why?
take away information from it.
Okay. So once something is learned and acquired, it will stay like this or evolve.
Yes, at the base, the information is always there. There can just be created an illusion that you have lost that information, but it's never really lost.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, disconnect from here and let's talk about the universal quantum field. You said it's a mirrored image.
Mm-hmm.
And that there are characteristics that both the universal quantum field and the brain electromagnetic field, they both have. What are these characteristics that you perceive in common?
I perceive the characteristic of like constant energy exchange. There is no death
Mm-hmm.
to energy. It's like a circuit. It's it's kind of always active, always interchanging information through frequencies, through vibrations, through color, through a lot of things. And it never dies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
This universal quantum field, I understand that it is directly linked to our brains, right? By frequencies, by energies.
Mm-hmm.
So, can other beings access this universal quantum field?
I can see them all being part of it.
Can other beings place information and data, let's say, in this universal quantum field that is linked to us?
To say it clearer,
Mm-hmm.
I can see every creature linked to this universal space.
Mm-hmm.
And the information is infinite. And everybody has access to every piece of information. So everybody contributes to this flow of information.
Mm-hmm.
They can access it at any time, or contribute to putting information into it. But if there is no want in you to access certain information, you won't do it. Even if someone puts it with the intent for it to kind of interfere you.
Okay.
It's all about your personal decisions and your kind of resonance with certain frequencies.
Mm-hmm. In this universal quantum field, do you perceive that each thing has a unique frequency?
Each thing,
Yeah. An
yes.
infinite amount of information, each information having its own frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you perceive that this quantum field is linked to the Earth, or do you perceive it as being the universe itself?
Perceive it being the universe itself. Earth is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Okay.
is part of it. It's kind of like the everything that embraces everything.
Yes. Okay. Very, very interesting. And now That being said and understood, we can move on and see how is this linked to the reality each one of us live. You mentioned this energetical puzzle that can evolve, and by evolving, it aligns more and more with each one of us.
Mm-hmm.
How can one person create its reality? By using the consciousness. Tell me, what do you perceive about this?
I perceive aligning with the energy that feels most right to you, aligning with the energy of the reality that you desire. Because I can see this space, this quantum space around us, kind of what we can't see with the physical eyes. It's like mm, it's like millions and millions and billions of little sparks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like colorful sparks that surround us. It's like visually you can imagine them as fireflies
Yes.
that shine in different colors around us, and kind of as we move they move along us. So once you feel in yourself the energy of the reality you want to live or anything, they align, these fireflies, this energy aligns with the energy that you are emitting, and once you move they move with you, so your physical reality changes.
You said something very interesting. You said the energy that you are emitting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you perceive that reality is a mirror of our consciousness? I explain if you want. So, do you perceive that the reality, it has to come from us energetically before it manifests, let's say, in the physical plane?
Yes, I can see there being kind of a base reality, yes, like a construct for everybody that is common.
Yes.
But our individual reality, the one that you see with your eyes, the one that you live, it all
Mhm.
depends on you. And it doesn't matter what are the circumstances around, really.
What do you perceive about the phrase, we are manifesting what we are and not what we want?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm seeing. It's like you can only attract kind of those fireflies that I was seeing, those particles of energy, the billions of particles that basically make up the universe as I'm perceiving it.
Mm-hmm.
They are kind of forming this field around you, yes, and they are adapting to the energy that you are emitting.
Mm-hmm.
So they adapt to your frequencies, to your vibrations. So once you're emitting that energy, they align to you, and all of your movements are like to your in your control. Your reality is in your control. Everything reflects what's inside of you.
Okay. Okay. How come there are people in the world that are living experiences in war, in fear of bombs, in pain, and other people are living happy and rich, and I don't know. What's the energetical difference to this? What can you say about this?
I can see it being reminiscences from past experiences,
Yes.
from also past lives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, certain karmic karmic feelings,
Yeah.
and beliefs and values, and how you entered this world, with what energy, with what fears, with what mindset, because that will reflect your reality. And it's all the same, because if you enter in fear of war, of whatever, the reality around you will reflect that.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Now let's discuss about the link between the consciousness and the DNA. Because you perceive that the consciousness is the continuity, let's say, of a person, and it's even detectable in the DNA. How do you perceive this? What is the link between DNA and consciousness?
I can see this DNA as being like this hard disk. It's like a memory stick of all the information and everything. So it is stored both in the consciousness and it's reflected in the body. So I don't see it really being stored in the body. It's just a reflection. If it makes sense. It's like kind of connecting a hard disk to a laptop, the body being the laptop. You can see all the information that's on the hard disk, on the laptop, but the information is not really on the laptop. It's on the hard disk.
Okay.
It just switches to different laptops each time. That's why I can see that DNA being linked.
These laptops, do they necessarily have to be on Earth, or can a consciousness, as it's traveling through experiences, do you perceive that it's storing in this hard disk the experiences from, I don't know, other planets?
Oh, yes. Not just Earth.
Does the laptop influence the hard disk in some cases, in general? So does the body influence the consciousness?
No, I can see the body only influencing the current reality that the person is living, in a way, by not really being connected to that hard disk, or forgetting that kind of transfer of information is blocked, either with external influence, or by own beliefs, by own kind of blocks that have been created throughout life since they are little, through limitations, through certain teachings.
Speaking of body, of physical body and of consciousness, what do you perceive that in our physical bodies we have some parts of the body that can allow us to connect more easily with our consciousness, or to access more informations, to, you understand me?
The first thing that lighted up is the intimate part.
Okay.
So it's connected to the sexual energy. It kind of an association came to me like a toilet plumber.
Okay.
That frees up the way of the flow of energy if there are any blocks created.
What about the emotional body?
Mm, the emotional body, I can see it being very potent in potential, but only um, when it's kind of rightfully used or understood.
Mm-hmm. Do you perceive anything else about the emotional body?
I almost forgot the question.
How is the emotional body linked
Mm.
to the consciousness?
Mm. I sense a stronger connection to the physical, honestly.
Okay,
Yes, but maybe because I'm sensitive from sensing it from a perspective of a human. Like I can feel that sense of a more connection with the physical.
it makes sense. And how about the mental body? The connection of the mental body with the consciousness.
There is, I can see it being like a direct link.
Mm-hmm.
It just all depends on the pollution of the mental body. If that connection is a clear one, or it's a connection that can interfere with the access of the consciousness in its full potential.
In general, take an observant view of people on Earth. In general, through which body, mental, emotional, or sexual, does the consciousness express itself more?
I don't see one in particular. Um, Actually, the sexual still shows up. But
Mm-hmm.
in most cases, I can see it expressing itself mostly when when there is a balance between all of them.
And that is my next question. Observe how it works. What do you call balance? What do you perceive about that?
When when none of them kind of work more than the others. Um, when they're all mm, when they're all kind of stable and there is no pollution from the outside, there is no interference. So they're exactly how they're supposed to be,
Mhm.
and they're each used properly. And yes,
Balance, yeah. Okay. Now, what do you perceive about the pineal gland in the brain?
what exactly about it?
It is said in many cultures that it is the only part in our body that can access consciousness. Do you perceive anything special, let's say, about this part of our brain?
I can sense that there are just more kind of neural links there in that part. So it creates a better traction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the path is bigger, kind of. So the connection can become easier, but I don't sense it being the only way of connecting with the consciousness.
Okay. Okay. Good. Now, disconnect from this information and tell me if you perceive on Earth physical bodies without consciousness.
Humans?
Yeah, humans.
Mm, no, not really. It looked at first as a yes,
Mm-hmm.
but if you look closer, there can still, when you don't see a consciousness, there still is like a small little dot. Even it's like, if it's like in its very kind of
Young
beginner
years.
phase, yes, it's still there.
So every human has a consciousness, no matter the state of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, do you perceive that a consciousness can live multiple lives, multiple experiences at the same time?
The first answer that came to me is no. I don't
Okay.
sense it. I don't feel it.
Okay, so one consciousness, one life.
Yes.
Okay. But are there consciousnesses that live multiple experiences?
Mm.
Tell me
I can
whatever.
sense it. I can sense it being like I'm seeing a distorted image,
Mhm,
and it being different realities, different timelines, different like almost universes.
mhm,
But in general, I there can be cases, but I don't really sense it
mhm.
as a consciousness living multiple lives at once. If there is no like um, fragmentation.
Mhm. Okay. Do you perceive anything else about human consciousness? Anything else? We discussed a lot of things.
Mm. No, I don't think I can
Okay.
see anything else.
Now we have a little bit of time still. So return to that man that was in a vegetative state. Return at the moment where he entered the vegetative state. So at the very beginning.
Mhm.
Um, how do you perceive the consciousness at the beginning of the vegetative state?
It kind of, it was like a hit that pressed pause.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it like before the vegetative state, it was like moving and constantly like there was some movement,
Mm-hmm.
fast movement, and then it started slowing down. So it's like almost no movement.
Mm-hmm. How do you perceive this subliminal part's emotional body?
It's getting more and more drained.
Mm-hmm. What's his name?
Carl.
Harold?
Carl.
Carl. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Introduce ourselves to Carl, and ask Carl if he agrees to have a little trip with us and to see and discover and learn things about himself.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Anastasia, show Carl telepathically what we saw in this investigation, including that his attachments to this physical plane, that his family attachments to him, and every information that we saw about his death, and that he will stay above the body for a lot of years. It will take him a lot of time to disconnect from this life. And show him also that his emotional body is drained.
Yes.
And now, can I talk to Carl through you, Anastasia? Okay, let me talk to Carl. Hello, Carl.
Hello.
How do you feel?
Confused.
Why?
It makes me confused seeing all of this.
Weren't you expecting this?
Not for me, no.
Why? Why not for you?
I feel like I would have been ready for this. But it's kind of disappointing for me to see that all of this happened.
It's okay. Now that you are out of your body, you're limitless. So you can see and observe what's holding you back. So what is holding you back, Carl?
Me.
How are you holding yourself back?
I just loved my life so much here.
That's great. It means that you can continue your experiences and create even more lives that you will love, doesn't it?
Yes, I just have to let go.
Do you want to let go?
Yes.
You don't look convinced. So we can do something. We can do an exercise, Carl, if you want.
Okay.
You can advance in time, keeping these conditions, and advance 10 years in time. And tell me, how do you perceive yourself?
I'm like a zombie.
Why?
I don't know where my place is. What am I doing anymore?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you like this for you? Is this what you want to experience?
No, I don't
Okay.
deserve this.
Okay. Now let's go back to where we were. And just so you know, everything is infinite. You are a creator. You are the power. And you can do whatever you want. And what you can do now is change temporal lines, which means you can create a new temporal line and create a new reality for you. How does that sound?
Great.
Okay. So on this new temporal line, what will you do? What do you want to do?
I'm letting go of any attachments.
How? How do you do that?
Because love doesn't hold you back.
Yes.
And I know I will have more experiences like this. And I can't have them. So I let go.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let go to anything that doesn't benefit you and your own growth and your own journey and experience.
Mm.
Are you letting go to anything else?
Expectations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Carl, good. Now, at 3, I will count from 1 to 3, okay? And at 3, you will be completely on this new temporal line that you are creating for yourself. 1, 2, 3. How do you feel?
I feel amazing.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Now, let me with Anastasia. Anastasia, disconnect. Disconnect from Carl. Disconnect completely from Carl. And tell me now, what's he doing?
I can see him just smiling and kind of projecting all of the things that he can do in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really just taking it in.
Do you perceive any link now between him and the physical body?
No.
Is the physical body still in a vegetative state?
No.
Okay.
It died.
Okay. And what will Carl do in the future? Let's advance time and see what's he doing in 10 years.
In 10 years, I can see him having another incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, he traveled a lot.
Okay. Good. Very good. Good. Now disconnect, Anastasia, from everything, from everyone, and I will count from 1 to 3. And at 3, you will be fully in the present moment. 1, disconnect from everything, everywhere, everyone, every perception, and return fully into your body. Your space is clean, you feel better and better. Raise your frequencies to your highest level. 2, your body begins to feel lighter and stronger, and you can move it with pleasure and ease. And you feel happy, you feel free, you feel great. And 3, you can open your eyes, fully present.
I teared up a little.
It's not you, it's Carl. How do you feel?
Great, that was so interesting.
I forgot to ask, what is the frequency of a Ferrari so that I can synchronize with that and I can manifest it? If I want a Ferrari, does that mean that I have to be a Ferrari? I'm just joking. I'm joking, but it was so so many information, so many stuff that I also learned. So thank you so much, Anastasia.
Me too.
Yeah, very, very
Me
interesting.
too. Yeah. Loved it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are waiting for you in our Friday live at 2:30 p.m. Romanian time, 1:30 p.m. Italian time, Paris time. You know what I mean. We will be there with Carlo, with Claudia, and with our colleagues if they're doing this investigation too, and we can analyze what came out of this, what the most important and common informations are. So we'll see you there. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. We wish you a great evening, a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Buenos días.
Dzień dobry.
Bienvenidos a este primer vídeo de Disclosure en español y polaco.
Bardzo Was serdecznie witamy na tym nowym wideo, które będzie w języku hiszpańskim i polskim na kanale Disclosures.
Vamos a producir mucho más vídeos en futuro como estos vídeos informativos.
W przyszłości stworzymy dużo więcej takich wideo, które będą Was informowały o różnych rzeczach.
Porque estamos notando que cuanto más se va divulgando este trabajo, estas hipnosis por internet, también cuanto más mala información se está difundiendo.
A to dlatego, że zauważyliśmy, że im więcej wstawiamy sesji z naszymi hipnozami, tym więcej jakby informacji sprzecznych zaczyna się rozprzestrzeniać.
Y entonces hoy vamos a hablar de las sesiones investigativas.
Więc dzisiaj będziemy mówić o sesjach badawczych.
Porque estoy viendo que hay personas que a lo mejor se dedican a una sesión con una persona, se van a algún lugar, preguntan algo y lo poco de información que pueden extraer de una sesión se lo creen como si fuera oro, completamente puro oro.
Bo zauważyłem, że są takie sesje i takie osoby, które robią jedną sesję z jedną osobą na dany temat i kiedy wychodzi tam jakaś informacja, to jest ona odbierana jakby to było rzeczywiście coś niesamowicie wiarygodnego, jakby to było czyste złoto.
Yo os digo que la sesión así dicha investigativa no existe.
Ja chciałbym Wam powiedzieć, że sesja badawcza tak naprawdę nie istnieje.
Entonces podríais como preguntar, entonces cuando haces una sesión a un cliente y preguntas cosas, ¿por qué preguntas?
Więc mógłbyś mi zadać pytanie, więc skoro robisz jakąś sesję z jakąś osobą i zadajesz jej pytania, to właściwie po co je w ogóle zadajesz?
Sí, sabemos que la información en hipnosis está muy, pero de verdad muy contaminada.
My bardzo dobrze wiemy, że informacja, która wychodzi podczas hipnozy jest niezwykle, ale to niezwykle zanieczyszczona.
Y esa información, así como sale de la hipnosis, no podemos tomarla como conocimiento, como investigación.
Więc takiej informacji, która wychodzi podczas sesji hipnozy, nie bierzemy nigdy jako takiej informacji, która jest rzeczywiście bardzo prawdziwa, zgodna z prawdą i oczywista.
En el caso de sesiones a clientes, la información que sacamos nos sirve por otro objetivo. El objetivo es llegar a la causa de su problema y trabajar.
Te informacje, które uzyskujemy podczas sesji dla klientów, służą nam zupełnie do czegoś innego. Celem jest to, żeby znaleźć przyczynę i pracować nad nią.
Pero ¿qué significa que la información está contaminada? ¿Cuánto está contaminada y por qué?
Ale co to właściwie oznacza informacja zanieczyszczona? Kiedy jest zanieczyszczona i dlaczego jest zanieczyszczona?
Hay que saber que cuando nosotros pedimos una información y nos llega a través de una persona en hipnosis, esta información sale de una fuente, para así decirlo, y atraviesa muchas dimensiones, muchas densidades.
Kiedy prosimy o jakąś informację podczas sesji, to ta informacja, powiedzmy to w ten sposób, pochodzi z jakiegoś źródła, ale w międzyczasie przechodzi przez wiele gęstości i wiele wymiarów.
Y también pasa por conciencias, por inteligencias. Esa información viene atrapada en el éter por varios seres.
Ale ta informacja przechodzi też przez wiele umysłów, wiele świadomości, istnieje w eterze i może być przechwycona również przez wiele bytów.
Estos seres, estas inteligencias, pueden voluntariamente o involuntariamente distorsionarla.
I te byty, te istoty lub świadomości mogą ją zniekształcić świadomie lub nieświadomie.
Y además, la persona que está en hipnosis tiene sus creencias, su mentalidad, sus perspectivas, sus opiniones. Esta estructura mental contamina también esta información.
A co więcej, osoba, która jest w stanie hipnozy, ma swoje własne przekonania, swoje własne wartości, wierzenia, swoją własną mentalność i przez tą właśnie strukturę całą mentalną również może dojść do jeszcze kolejnego zanieczyszczenia.
Y además, si nosotros queremos investigar, por ejemplo, una persona o un ser que no tiene ninguna conexión con el ambiente hipnótico donde estamos trabajando, esta persona puede no autorizar la salida de informaciones de sí mismo.
A co więcej, jeśli połączymy się z jakąś istotą, która absolutnie nie należy do tego środowiska hipnotycznego, w którym pracujemy, taka istota może nie zgodzić się na przekazanie informacji.
Si hay interacción, si hay interferencias entre un ser y otro, es posible que circule información por las conexiones, por los pactos.
Jeśli jest jakaś interferencja między dwoma istotami, to wtedy dzięki tym paktom, albo przez te pakty, przez to połączenie, które istnieje, rzeczywiście wychodzą informacje.
Pero si en aquella sesión en concreto ese ser o esa persona se va a cuestionar y no hay ninguna conexión, es muy improbable que llegue una información autorizada.
Ale jeśli zdarza się tak, że łączymy się z istotą, która nie ma z tym nic wspólnego, to jest bardzo mało prawdopodobne, że dostaniemy jakąś informację.
Entonces, imaginemos que queremos investigar sobre un personaje famoso de la historia.
No, na przykład wyobraźmy sobie, że chcielibyśmy otrzymać informację o jakiejś osobie niezwykle znanej, historycznej.
Si no tenemos de alguna manera alguna conexión con los elementos del ambiente hipnótico y esta persona, aunque no esté conectada, no autoriza esta información, pues no llega.
Więc jeśli wyobrazimy sobie, że ta osoba nie jest w żaden sposób połączona z tym środowiskiem hipnotycznym, w którym pracujemy, może się tak zdarzyć, że absolutnie nie zezwoli na żadne przekazywanie informacji na swój temat.
Y cuando pasa esto, hay siempre o casi siempre alguna entidad que se aprovecha de la situación.
I kiedy to się dzieje, zazwyczaj pojawia się jakiś byt, który wykorzystuje tę sytuację.
Se puede presentar con la supuesta identidad de la persona o del ser que estamos buscando, o puede de todas formas modificar o inventar una información por su cuenta, por su personal ventaja.
Może zrobić dwie rzeczy. Albo przyjąć, zidentyfikować się z osobą, o której chcemy zrobić tę sesję, przyjąć jej tożsamość, albo zmienić informacje, które chcielibyśmy otrzymać, tak aby to działało na jej korzyść.
Nosotros en sesión a clientes podemos trabajar porque el cliente nos autoriza a trabajar en él en su sesión.
Podczas sesji dla klientów możemy pracować nad takimi informacjami, bo otrzymujemy zgodę na informacje właśnie dzięki temu klientowi.
Y podemos trabajar con sus seres queridos, por ejemplo, o con los seres que interfieren con ella, propio porque hay estas conexiones.
I możemy pracować na przykład z istotami, które kocha ta dana osoba, lub z bytami, które w nią ingerują, właśnie przez to połączenie, które tam istnieje.
Entonces, hay una gran diferencia entre la sesión a un cliente para solucionar sus problemas y hacer sesiones para investigar.
Dlatego istnieje taka duża różnica między sesjami, które robimy dla klientów, aby rozwiązać ich problemy, i między sesjami takimi poszukiwawczymi, badawczymi.
Por eso digo que no existe una sesión investigativa.
I dlatego właśnie Wam mówię, że nie istnieje coś takiego jak sesja badawcza.
Lo que existe es un protocolo de sesiones de investigación.
To, co istnieje, to pewien protokół sesji badawczych.
hay que seguir un protocolo y hay que ejecutar una serie de sesiones y con personas diferentes.
Więc trzeba zawsze śledzić ten sam protokół, a jednocześnie wykonać wiele sesji z różnymi osobami.
El protocolo tiene que ser único, unívoco, porque hay que preguntar en un tema las mismas preguntas para ir en la misma dirección.
Ten protokół powinien być zawsze taki sam, ponieważ należy zadawać takie same pytania, tak aby iść zawsze w tym samym kierunku.
Cuanto más está restringido este espacio de investigación, cuanto más podemos tener más probabilidad de tener buena información.
Im bardziej zawężamy obszar naszych poszukiwań, tym bardziej prawdopodobne będzie, że otrzymamy dobre informacje.
Sí, podemos también aumentar este espacio, pero tenemos que aumentar proporcionalmente el número de sesiones por hacer.
Możemy oczywiście rozszerzyć ten obszar, ale wtedy będziemy zmuszeni również rozszerzyć ilość tych sesji.
Luego, cuando tenemos una grande serie de sesiones, pero estamos hablando de centenas o hasta de millares de sesiones,
I wtedy mówimy o olbrzymiej liczbie sesji, od setki po tysiące.
tenemos que recoger toda aquella información que es común a todas o a casi todas estas sesiones hechas.
I wtedy musimy pozbierać te informacje, które są wspólne dla wszystkich bądź prawie wszystkich tych sesji.
Esta información común vais a ver que es un porcentaje muy pequeño con respecto a la totalidad de la información.
I zobaczycie, że ta informacja wspólna będzie naprawdę niewielkim odsetkiem tych informacji, które się tam pojawią.
Son pepitas de oro.
To są takie malutkie ziarenka.
Es como si nosotros vamos a un río, vamos a coger este filtro, vamos a coger muchísima arena para recoger solo muy pocas pepitillas de oro.
I można to przyrównać do poszukiwania złota, kiedy filtruje się dno rzeki, zbiera się mnóstwo piasku, a na koniec pojawiają się maleńkie ziarenka złota.
Esa sí que es información de oro.
I to jest właśnie ta informacja złota.
Si hoy podemos decir que hay seres que interfieren bastante con el ser humano y que tienen formas de animales reptiles o de animales a forma de insectos, etc., es porque todo esto sale desde que se empezaron las sesiones de hipnosis y hay muchísimas, millares y millares con esta información común.
I jeśli dzisiaj możemy powiedzieć, że są ingerencje, które przybierają formy albo reptilii, albo jakichś insektów, to dlatego, że takie informacje wychodzą od początku naszych sesji hipnotycznych i są wspólne i jest ich tysiące.
Pero si yo digo que en la ciudad de Nueva York, en el 1452, exacto en aquel punto, había una casa que vivía un viejo que se llamaba Tom, pues solo en aquella sesión ha salido y cuanto más contaminada puede ser, no lo va a saber nadie.
Ale jeśli chciałabym powiedzieć, przekazać taką informację, że w Nowym Jorku w 1452 roku stał taki a taki dom, w którym mieszkał taki a taki starszy pan o imieniu Tom, to nie mam pojęcia, jak bardzo zanieczyszczona będzie ta informacja.
Así entonces se hace investigación. Es un trabajo muy largo, muy duro y tiene que ser hecho con un protocolo riguroso y severo.
A więc właśnie w taki sposób należy robić sesje badawcze. Jest to proces bardzo długi, ciężki i który wymaga bardzo restrykcyjnego protokołu.
Y entonces por esto que nosotros ya vamos a empezar a hacer ciclos de investigación.
I właśnie dlatego zaczniemy teraz robić takie cykle badawcze.
La estructura del team, que cada vez va creciendo siempre más, y el número de clientes que cada día contactan con nosotros, nos permiten organizar estos ciclos de investigación.
I ponieważ struktura naszego zespołu cały czas się powiększa, a także liczba klientów, którzy kontaktują się z nami każdego dnia, te czynniki pozwalają nam na to, żebyśmy zrobili taki cykl badawczy.
Creo que ya he dicho todo, o casi todo. Eh, Cualquier pregunta podéis escribirla en los comentarios del vídeo o donde sea publicado el vídeo.
Myślę, że powiedziałem wszystko, bądź prawie wszystko, a jeśli macie jakieś pytania, to proszę zadajcie je pod tym wideo.
Gracias por vuestra atención
Dziękujemy za Waszą uwagę.
y gracias a ti, Milena.
Gracias a ti, Kalo. Dziękujemy.
Chao.
Ciao.